For context, I am a shy 19-year-old girl who doesn't tend to go outside very often, other than when I walk my two dogs, walk to college, or go to the store. I walk my dogs in a small, almost triangle-shaped area with a small, slightly overgrown pathway, which was only used by myself and a couple of other dog owners on my street. The left side of the triangle is formed from a line with trees, with an old metal fence behind it. One part of the fence was broken and had a large gap in it, which led into a much larger field that was used for football practice and friendly games. The right wall of the triangle was created from wild bushes and shrubs, many of which were jagged and extremely overgrown. The bottom of the triangle is formed of an overgrown thick hedge. The pathway is in the center of this hedge. One night around the start of October, I was walking my dogs in the area, and something felt wrong. I felt like I was being watched. I ignored this feeling and told myself I was just being paranoid. My dogs were doing their thing when I heard leaves crunching from behind the trees. My dogs immediately turned to face the trees and began growling. I had never seen them react this way before, and the crunching sounded too slow for it to be a squirrel. I couldn't see anything since it was late, and there's no light in the area, but I bailed and pulled my dogs back and quickly headed home, still feeling like I was being watched, until I made it to my house and locked the door. The following few weeks were similar. Every night when I would walk the dogs in the area, I felt like I was being watched, despite not being able to see anyone there. On a couple of occasions, my small dog would stop what she was doing and stare at the trees and growl. My big dog would also refuse to enter the area on these nights. I put the feeling of being watched down to paranoia and guessed my dogs were just being weird. The week before Halloween, I was walking my dogs, but instead of feeling like I was being watched, I felt something different. I felt fear. I ignored the feeling and walked up the pathway. Both my dogs refused to follow until I had reached the end of the path. Then they both ran to me and started barking as they faced the area where the hole in the fence was. Like I said, the area is dark and overgrown, so it is hard to see. However, I swear that I saw the outline of someone crouching half hidden behind the tree that was next to the hole in the fence. I didn't stick around long enough to investigate. I pulled the dogs back and left as fast as I could. I looked behind me as I was leaving and saw that the hedge was moving. Nope. I ran, and my dogs did their best to keep up with me until we got back inside. I decided that from then on, I would just walk my dogs elsewhere, which I did, and the feelings of being watched at night and my dog's weird behavior subsided. Then Halloween arrived. I had decided to do some Halloween baking and made a batch of cupcakes. I went to decorate them and discovered I was out of icing bags, so I walked to the store. This is only a 15-minute walk on foot, so it didn't take long to get there. I buy the icing bags and a few other things, then begin to walk home. My street is like a side street that leads off on a long straight road, so I have to walk down this road to get to my street. As I was walking down the long road, a guy in a black car that was already parked on the road stopped me. "I'm looking for a friend who lives in area, but I don't know where he is," he said in a slightly broken English. The guy begins to describe a guy who matches his own description, Nope, sorry, I don't know anyone around here who matches that description, I said. The guy then asked me if I was Irish because of my accent, which I tell him I'm not. He asks me how long I've been living in the area, and I reply with, my whole life. He then begins to ask me more things about myself. I find this extremely weird, since he had now stopped asking for directions. Do you know what house number your friend stays at or anything? I asked. The guy stops and stares at me for a moment, then says, Look, I'll be honest. I don't have friends who live in area. I saw you in store and thought you looked interesting. I've seen you before, actually. I laughed awkwardly and mentally prepared myself to start running at any moment if anything happened. But I knew I couldn't outrun a car. You just look so interesting. I wanted to know more about you. I had to find a way to approach you. You're just so... You know, I fancy you so much. I had to talk to you. I have been seeing you walking your dogs too. You ran before I could talk to you then. I'm horrified at this point, and just stand there like an idiot mentally freaking out. How old are you? He asks. Without hesitation I lied and said 16, in the hopes it would scare him off. He hints his steering wheel with his fists and says, Too damn young. Are you sure you're 16? I nod and walk away, trying to keep my cool, making sure I wait for the sound of a car leaving before I reach for my phone, which was in my back jean pocket. I immediately text my recently ex-boyfriend freaking out over what happened and tell him everything. He keeps messaging me and makes sure I got home safely. Not only had this guy been watching me walk my dogs and pretty much confirmed that he was the guy behind the tree, but this guy has been watching me long enough to know the route I take home, despite not leaving my house very often or venturing far from my house when I do go out. I hope that the fact I lied about my age will keep him away and ensure that we never meet again.